You're listening to the Awkward High Five podcast. You can follow along in your book. You'll know it's time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this.
True love is the greatest thing in the world. Except for nice MLT, a mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich when the mutton is nice and lean and the tomatoes are ripe. They're so perky. I love that. But that's not what he said. He distinctly said to blave. And as we all know, to blave means to bluff. Huh? So you're probably playing cards, and he cheated.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
Get back, witch!
I'm not a witch, I'm your wife.
Yeah.
That is definitely one of my faves so far.
Oh, The Princess Bride?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, of course. I think that's everybody's fave.
Classic.
I think that has run out of my movies that I have backed up, so now I gotta go find more movies for this. I don't know.
I wish I could pick some, but I like being surprised every episode.
Yeah, but you could contribute.
Nah, but then, I like the whole surprise. It makes it funnier for me.
Okay, I guess. Well, today is a good day, Richard. Do you want to know why? Well, there's two reasons why today is a good day. First off, today is a wonderful day for me because last night I watched my beloved New York Mets beat the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they're now moving on to the NLCS. I was actually at the game on Tuesday night, which was awesome. They lost, awesome. Which was if they would have won that night and I got to see them win at Citi Field, it would have been amazing. But it was amazing to be there anyway. I've been to since Citi Field has opened, I've been to, I average around 10 games a year. That was the craziest thing that I've ever been a part of. It was crazy loud. At one point, I think it was like the bottom of the seventh was when they were like threatening to come back a little bit. They had a couple men on base, and Daniel Murphy was up, and the place was so loud that I was screaming and I couldn't hear myself screaming. It was the craziest thing. It was louder than any concert I've ever been to.
So is this true? Are they really playing the Cubs?
It's the Mets and the Cubs in the NLCS. Yeah, amazing.
The future is here.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what else is weird? This is like the month that Marty McFly went to the future, and wasn't it like Cubs win the World Series?
Yeah, right. Well, that's the whole thing.
That's crazy.
Everyone's freaking out about is that the Cubs do win, and Back to the Future 2. The Cubs win the World Series in 2015. Yeah. So everyone's,
people are like talking about that.
Oh yeah. It's like
funny,
a big thing that everyone's talking about. Which I could totally get behind, and I would totally get behind if the Mets weren't a part of it. You know what I mean? Like I even said, well, the Cubs are like my second favorite team. I know that's kind of corny to have a second favorite team, but I've been to Wrigleyville and I loved it, and I'm a National League fan, and you got to root for the underdogs, and the Cubs are the biggest underdogs of all time.
Right. Have they ever been to or won
It's
a
been
World Series?
It's been over 100 years since they won a World Series.
100 years?
Yeah. Since they've been in the World Series, yeah. And so I always root for the Cubs, even though they're in it less than the Mets are in it. But if the Mets are out of it, and the Cubs are in it for some reason, I always root for the Cubs. And that was my plan for this year. I was like, all right, if the Mets don't make it past L.A. and the Cubs go, then of course I'm going to root for the Cubs, But now, fuck the Cubs.
Yeah.
But if for some reason the Mets do lose to the Cubs, which they're not going to, hopefully, but if they do, then I could root for the Cubs with a clear conscience for the rest of the thing.
And what are the other two teams from the American League?
Tampa Bay and Toronto, which is confusing because I don't know. I know very little about the American League. I don't really follow it.
Yeah, I don't know what Tampa Bay is.
I'm sorry. Did I say Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
I meant it's the Blue Jays, Toronto Blue Jays, and Kansas City.
Oh, the Royals.
Yeah, the Royals.
Oh my God, it's like underdog world, huh?
Yeah, which is crazy though, because I always get the Blue Jays and the Royals mixed up because their uniforms are very similar, and I don't know, and they're so far I don't even know where fucking Kansas City is. It's like and the other one's in Toronto. Like they're so far out of in the American League land that I don't know. So watching the game's on tonight. I'll probably watch some of it later, but it's gonna be confusing. I'm gonna be like a girl like watching sports. Like, is the blue team winning?
That's what I do pretty much. Like, if my team, I don't have a team in really anything, but if who I'm rooting for doesn't.
You
make
got them
it to-
Raiders.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't want to say that on the air, but they're not doing too bad this year. But if the Raiders aren't doing well, like when it comes down to the Super Bowl, I want it to be a good uniform color against a good uniform color. If it's two teams that are like the same color, it's just gonna bore me. You know what I mean? That's why I'm always bored on Thanksgiving, because it's usually like the Detroit Lions versus the Dallas Cowboys, and they're two very similar uniforms. And who the hell wants to watch that? I want to see two good colors going at it.
Do you like when they use those throwback uniforms, or everyone starts? They look like they're from the 20s or whatever.
I love that old Jets uniform, the blue and yellow.
I haven't really seen them, but I know that they do
sweet.
that.
So
But my
sweet.
thing is, my conjecture here, if that is a word that makes sense, is that if they're going to go with so far and do the throwback thing, they should throw it all the way back to like the leather heads and wear leather helmets
and die.
or whatever, man. If they're going to go that far, just do it. I'm not a big fan of the retro thing. They do it in baseball sometimes, and then they'll wear like the old baggy like Babe Ruth pants. You know what I mean? They look like hammer pants and shit, and they just look weird running around. I don't know. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, I don't like it now when baseball players don't rock the stirrups. I feel like you got.
I find that weird too,
and
and it's definitely something that's going away. Most of them now wear so there's the stirrups like all the way up, which for me that's baseball.
Yeah.
And then some people were wearing them like halfway down, you know, and they would have like the 3/4 pants, but you'd still see the socks.
Yeah.
And now more and more people are just wearing the cuffs all the way down.
it looks
to
like
their
they're
spikes.
they're gonna step on their pants.
Yeah. You know what the weird thing about baseball is, and I forget about this, and then every once in a while I see it, and it freaks me out, is that it's the only sport that I know. Well, maybe they do in football, I don't know, but it's the only sport that I know of where the players wear a belt.
Yeah.
Isn't that the weirdest thing in the world? Like,
I think they do in football too.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
but it's like.
And hockey.
Do they in hockey?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. All right. Well, then but I just don't watch the sports that much. But like sometimes
I could be wrong though.
sometimes I see them adjust their belt, and I'm like, that's weird that you would be like, you're an athlete. You know what I mean? That would be like if a long distance runner wore a belt, or a basketball player wore a belt. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it doesn't seem like sportswear. It's got a buckle, and it's like fucking leather and shit.
some dog and all those sunflower seeds. You got to loosen up a notch.
Well, today's an exciting podcast, Richie.
What is the second thing about today?
The second thing I'm excited about is today. Are you ready for this? Today,
nervous.
listener at home, we are going to get to go in. Well, I'm setting it up wrong. Today, we're going
inside the mind of RTG.
Oh my god. That makes me nervous.
That's my favorite. That's my new favorite thing.
Was that you?
I'm gonna. Yeah. I have that like vocalize thing, so I could basically do the script. If I wanted to start murdering teenagers, I could just do the screaming thing if I wanted.
That's awesome.
That's my new favorite thing. I'm going to play it all the time. But that's what today's podcast is going to be about. We're going to go into the weird and wild mind of one Rich Giordano. Are you ready for that?
I got theories. They hold a little water, but I guess, we found out through the years that they're a little outlandish, I guess.
So, as anybody who's listening to this podcast knows at this point, me and you have been friends for a long time. And we've discussed a lot of stuff over the years, and you've had a lot of weird occurrences, a lot of weird theories. You're a pretty weird dude.
And you've seen it all. You've seen me at my worst.
I've
You've seen me at my best. You've seen me at my strangest.
And there was a couple points in this podcast already where we kind of got into the psyche of you and your theories and stuff. But that's what makes this interesting. So I told you during the week when we were texting back and forth to think of something. So what is the first thing that you want to talk about?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind.
Wait, do you have it though? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Relax. Wait, hang on for 1 second. Now, I just want the listeners to join us on the journey as we go
Inside the mind of RTG.
I'm going to find an excuse to play that over and over again.
I'm going to find things to say about myself just so you can hit that.
Go ahead.
Well, the first thing that popped in there was something that I thought made perfect sense. And I didn't know I was wrong until you told me I was wrong, I think when I was about 25, 24 years old.
Okay, I think I know what this is. There's two things that I could guess from here.
We all know the Earth turns.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I guess we learn what gravity is at a young age. But I don't know. I still think this is right. But I guess the reason why we have night and day is because the Earth turns around once, you know? But after riding the gravitron, it makes perfect sense that Earth is swooping and spinning around mad fast. That's the only reason why we get to stand on this Earth. Is because we're spinning so fast, so we stick. And that is what gravity is to me.
Yeah, so, okay. Yeah, so this is, I remember this one day. I don't know where we were. We might have been a little bit younger than 25. But we were
pretty old, though, because I remember being like, how did I not know?
Yeah, no, you're definitely way past the point of not understanding gravity. And you just nonchalantly brought up the fact that you're like, well, you know, like how the world's like spinning really fast or whatever. And I was like, what do you mean the world's spinning really fast? And you're like, well, you know, that's like what gravity is, like how the world is just spinning super fast so that we're all just stuck to the floor like the gravitron on the boardwalk. And I didn't know how to explain to a grown man what gravity was and how, and and you went your whole life thinking that.
Living a lie.
And you still think that, even though I told you the difference.
It makes sense. I don't think it because the way you explained it was perfect. How, if that was true, it'd be night, day, night, day, night, day, night, day.
Yes. That's exactly what happened. Either that or we would go, well, I guess we want to go back in time because I was going to say like when Superman flew around the world, but he actually reversed the Earth in order to go back in time. But yeah, it would be night, day, night, day, night, day, night, day real quick. And just because there's a ride on the boardwalk where some fucking like stoner plays music and you stick to the walls doesn't mean that's the way that gravity works on Earth.
It's so crazy though because the Earth is so big and it is going that fast and we are sticking. But
it's going fast, sure, but the actual rotations, you know, it's one a day.
Yeah. That is the best explanation because if you didn't explain the whole night, day, night, day, I don't think I would have got it.
There's probably someone out there that knows a lot more about this who's listening to this right now and being like, okay, you're both wrong. Like, you know, because I'm not going to act like I'm an expert. I just kind of understand, you know, gravity and how it has to do to mass and density and all that stuff.
5th grade earth science.
Okay, I got something. I'm going to go.
Inside the mind of RTG.
When we were, this is my favorite, one of my favorite quotes of all time. And sometimes I tell people this and they don't get it right away. And I don't know what there isn't to get. Like, it's not something that you have to think of too hard to understand. But we were in college and we had a quote board. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Where everyone would just write stuff on there that they said. And there was a quote from you. I wasn't there when you said it, but it's one of my favorite things I've ever heard. And the quote from you was, let me see if I can say this right. The quote from you was, "The only time I'm paranoid when I'm high is when I'm in court."
It's true to this day.
But I wasn't there for that conversation, I don't think. So I always wondered how that even came up. And it had to be a conversation about being, you know, like talking about getting paranoid.
Smoking,
yeah, right. And like how sometimes you'll smoke too much weed and you'll get a little paranoid or whatever. And you proclaim that the only time so not only the only time that you get paranoid when you're high is when you're in court. So you go to court high and that's when you're paranoid.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'd be paranoid if I wasn't high, and maybe being high has nothing to do with it. But that is a time when I'm paranoid when I'm high. It's definitely when I'm in court high.
Which stands to reason then that you've one been to court multiple times, and then two, in those multiple times have been stoned every time you've gone to court. I don't know. I tell people that story sometimes and they laugh their ass off.
This episode is just gonna drill me into the ground.
Why?
Nervous.
What are you nervous about?
Nah, it's all right.
What do you mean?
I'm an open book.
Just because we're going
Inside the mind
That is so awesome. Explosion.
The explosion keeps going. I don't know. I found some explosion on. That might actually be a real explosion. I don't know. I found on YouTube. What's the next thing?
Let's see. What else is there? Oh my God, this is kind of traumatic. But
Okay, we'll get deep.
I wish I could have been
A little bit taller.
Yeah,
You wish you
and
were a baller.
But I really wish I could have been the person that witnessed this happen, because I really wasn't that awake. It was pretty late in the evening, and it must have been crazy to see, because I really don't remember the experience. But it's another college story, and we hung out with this dude who just, if he got his hands on any drug, he would take it, just for the fuck of it, just to get a drug.
Do I know this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Give me initials.
MT. He only went by the T initial.
M. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually hit me up on Facebook not too long ago.
Did he?
Yeah.
So, he gets a bottle of Rush.
Oh, I know where you're going. No, you're setting this up all wrong. Okay,
Am I?
Can I?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wish I was on the outsider of it. Yeah, take it.
No,
take it.
I will tell this story
Yeah.
because I saw it from the outside. So we were having a party as per the usual. It was college, or no, you know what happened? I think we played a show that night. I think it was after a show.
It was super late.
Yeah, it was late. And we either played a show or we were out someplace, and then we all went back to our apartment afterwards, and it was way past 2 a.m. And in New Jersey, you can't really buy beer or alcohol anywhere after 2 o'clock in the morning. And we all still wanted to party. So our friend, the guy that you're talking about, he was like, I know where we could get beer. Because he was like kind of from the area or something. I don't know. Or he knew the area better or whatever. And so he left with somebody else to go get beer at like 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. So we're hanging out, like drinking whatever beer is left, like waiting for him to come back. And he comes back and he says, I couldn't get beer, but I got this. And he holds up a bottle of Rush.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What a dork.
He said that he was like, instead of getting beer, I went to the sex store, the actual, like the weird sex store on the fucking turnpike where only truckers go to like jerk off and boost and shit. He went to that, picked up Rush, which for anybody who doesn't know what Rush is, it's amyl nitrate, which is basically
rocket fuel.
It's what's called a popper.
Yeah.
And it's the point of Rush is it's a chemical that you sniff up your nose. The bottle actually looks like something that you would use for allergies, like you would up your nose, like that kind of thing, right?
Really? I thought it was just like a little twist off cap, little bottle thing.
Oh, is that? I thought there was a point to it. Maybe not.
Nah, it's just a regular
Okay.
little bottle. That's that's where the mistake happens.
This is going to surprise you about me, but I haven't done much amyl nitrate in my life, so I don't know for sure. But yeah, he comes back with this Rush, and he's like, "All right, so let's do Rush." And we're like, "We're not doing Rush," So you were all fucking hammered, like, and bouncing off the walls, and eyes slammed shut, and like blah blah. So he's hitting this Rush, which is it's such a strong chemical that what happens is you sniff it. And the reason it's called Rush is because it gives you a rush. So
you more breathe it in than sniff it.
Yeah, okay, so. Yeah. You inhale it, and then the chemicals hit your brain, and then you get a quick rush, and everything is good. So he's passing around the Rush to all takers, which are very, very few.
Yeah, I don't think there was any takers.
And then you're bound. Well, there was like a couple girls there, I think, or whatever, that like hit it. Yeah. The fucking Rush heads. And Tom Sawyer, mean guy. So then you come, I guess you're in the bathroom or in another room, and you come out, and he's all excited to see you because you two were like pretty close, and he turns around, he's like, Richie, look what I got, and he hands you the Rush, and you, instead of, I guess you didn't understand what it was or something, or
I thought it was a shot.
You thought it was a shot,
yeah.
So you took it and unscrewed the top of it. And then shot it.
Really? I thought it was already open.
No. You unscrewed the top of it and then shot this bottle of Rush, which is a chemical that if you inhale, you get fucked up. And you swallowed all the contents of it. And the guy looked at me and I looked at him and we went, well, Richie's dead. Like we really didn't know what to do at that point. Well,
I don't remember an ambulance coming, so thanks, guys.
Well, we rolled the dice and let you go to sleep and just and just hope for the best. What are we gonna do? But yeah, yes, I remember that.
That was a bad one.
I
think about that from time to time. Like, maybe that's the reason why I think the Earth is the gravitron.
Another, okay, my turn to go.
Inside the mind
Inside is the best.
of RTG.
This whole show is just an excuse to play that over and over again.
Good.
I remember one day we were sitting around with our two friends, both named Lindsay, different spellings, at our apartment in college. So again, we're in our 20s at this point. And
Ooh, I don't know where we're going with this. I like that.
yeah, okay. You don't remember this? It has to do with the woman's area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're sitting with two women. Well, I know for sure one of them was a woman. The other one, I guess, I don't know. and you started talking about a woman's anatomy, more specifically the vagina. And you said that something along the lines of you don't understand how women piss out of their clitoris. And okay.
Because I was under the impression that the clit is just a really, really, really small penis.
And I get where you're coming with that because I mean, have you've seen a big clit before?
Yeah. I was gonna go on to that next.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We'll get there.
Yeah.
And I could totally understand that, and it does kind of make sense in in the way that men have breast, but they're not breast, you know what I mean? But we still have nipples, and then that, whatever, it does make sense. But the fault in your thinking that no 20-something-year-old man who had been sexually active in his life should ever have thought is that you thought that there was a pee hole at the end of the clitoris, just like the world's tiniest dick, like that Asian guy from Hangover when he jumps out of the trunk.
Exactly.
And that's how. So what ended up happening was the two Lindsays that we were hanging out with, took it upon themselves to get a piece of paper and then draw a diagram of the vagina for you and point out all the different parts of it so you could understand the vagina. And there at 21, 22 years old, you finally, found out what a vagina was.
Because if you think about it, females have 2 ovaries, males have 2 testicles, right?
That is true.
Males have a penis, girls have the clit.
Got it.
Now, when you're in the womb and you're asexual, you're not neither male or female yet, either the balls can go up and be ovaries, or they could fall down and be balls. And the clit can get big and be penis, or it could stay small and be clit. Right? Doesn't that make sense?
It makes sense, but it's not true.
Damn. I guess that's why we're going...
Inside the mind of RTG.
Now I get why we're doing this. This is all fascinating to me now. My 30s. Well, yeah, I think the reason why that was all brought up is because I had a very traumatizing sexual experience at college that same week.
Oh, shit. Okay. Whew, I thought you were going to start fucking delving into some crazy shit that I didn't even know about.
No, you know about this. I'm still worried about it. But I was I guess I was hooking up with this girl. I don't know. It was it was very short-lived, It was just like 1 or 2 nights, But I think it was Halloween, and Anthony was having a party at his house. That's what it was.
Okay, Anthony was our roommate who was actually a frat guy. We weren't frat people, but we did have one roommate who was like a big frat guy. Yeah, and sometimes we would go to the frat house and drink their beer.
Mm-hmm. So all I really remember is just downing shots of vodka, boom, 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 one after another, one after another. So that's why, I kind of don't think this story holds too much water, but it was just too clear right in front of my face for it not to be true. So what happens is I take her back home, like you do with females, and
you would hope,
yeah, and we're in bed or whatever. So it gets to the point of undressing. So I take her pants off, I take her underwear off, and her I think it was her clit. I'm hoping this wasn't a dude, but this thing flopped out like a Ziggy nose. It was pressurized against the underwear so that when I pulled the underwear off, this thing flopped out. You know what I mean? So I was like,
So like
damn,
she was packing.
she was packing heavy. So I made believe like I passed out.
Wait, as soon as you saw it, you played dead?
I played like I was sleeping.
But just a second before that, you were pulling her underwear off.
Yeah, so I kind of went like, oh, I don't feel good. She's like, you all right? I was like, I just got to lay down. Let the room spinning. Because I didn't want to fuck around with no dick. Like, you think she would tell me, you know what I mean, if she was a dude. So that's what makes me think it was just an extra large clit. So, like, once I figured out how to use the internet, I started researching it, and there are some biggies, you know. But
Some Ziggy noses out there?
There's plenty of Ziggy noses out there. I've never seen another. But this thing, like...
Oh, really? I thought you did.
No, that's the only Ziggy nose I ever seen.
Oh, okay. Because I specifically remember you telling me that somebody else that we know has a Ziggy nose. I'm not even going to say it on here because I don't want any party involved to even know it.
Yeah,
but
you could tell me after.
Yeah, I'll tell you
So
after.
maybe you'll refresh my memory. But
I've seen one or two of my not anything that went protruding out of underwear
Yeah,
like
this
fucking Ray
thing.
Finkel style.
she could like masturbate. Not with a full hand. She would have to use 2 fingers. But like it was a fucking dick.
And so you decided to play possum, and I wasn't ready to get out. So what did she do? Awkwardly put the Ziggy nose away and scurry out of the room?
No, she slept over. She stayed there and she slept. And then I guess she was like still under the impression that we were gonna hang out again. But I forgot all about that, and I'm trying to forget about it. And 15 years later,
Yeah,
I
it's
still
obviously
can't.
still traumatizing.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, I wonder this. I wonder if this is something that she knows that is like a.
She has to know.
Well, I mean, if you don't see many like vagina, you know, the world isn't like porn movies. Like girls aren't just like getting naked in front of each other and checking out each other's vaginas all the time. So.
True, but if you have a little dick and you're a girl, you're probably like, damn, I got a dick.
So you think she should warn somebody?
I mean, I think the warning should have came if she actually was. What is that called?
A hermaphrodite?
Hermaphrodite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if she.
Oh,
knew,
of course. Yeah. Right.
you know,
Yeah.
That's where the warning.
Oh,
should
so
have
is that what you're saying that you think this is? You think that she might be a hermaphrodite?
It was so big.
It's not. So we're beyond the point of just the big clitoris. This is just like this might be. She actually is a hermaphrodite.
Well, there was so many factors. There was the vodka, you know what I mean, which makes things very fuzzy. There was the fact that as soon as I saw it, I never looked back. You know what I mean? So I only got a glance of it.
Oh, so you like were blinded by the light and then didn't look?
Yeah.
So you didn't touch it? There was no touching?
No.
See, I think I would have, at that point, I would have had to start touching.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No, I was so freaked out by it because it wasn't, you know, I think
Can
it was
I-
a head.
It's a twatto, or not a twatto, a quado or whatever. Was she an attractive gal?
She was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's very weird to me.
And she had a killer bod. And I was really excited about doing this. And it just went shot to shit once the dick came out.
My favorite part is that you just played dead after that. You just,
What else would you, like, you know, I wasn't just going to like suck it up and be like, ew, and like play with it.
thank God you said up. Yeah. All right. I did not know that story whatsoever.
Yeah, you did.
Did I? You told me
Yeah,
this?
yeah, I told you
You
about it.
remember this? I remember. I don't know. Okay. So,
And that's what led me to believe that the clit is just a really small penis.
so when your vodka infused head quickly stared at this thing, you thought you saw a hole in it? You thought you saw a pee hole?
I didn't think I saw a hole, but I think I saw a little dick. So it makes sense that if a girl's clit can vary like that, you know what I mean? Because I've never seen one on the outside like that. You know what I mean? In such a protruding manner.
I know a girl. Okay, so I know a girl, and actually an ex of mine, that told me a story about a guy that she was with who had like a micropenis. Have you ever seen a micropenis before?
On The Hangover.
Yeah, well, you can't even see that guy's dick. It's just a patch of pubes. You
That's
don't see
his real
anything.
dick, though, right?
But there's no dick. It's just a patch of pubes. It's like there's nothing there.
So that wouldn't qualify as a micro.
Well, I'm sure it does, but you don't see it. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever Googled micropenis?
No,
It's the
no.
weirdest thing in the world. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you can say baby dick, but micropenises are like smaller than baby dicks. They're
It's
like,
just the head.
yeah, it's just like like you know how they say like acorn dick or whatever. You know what I mean?
I never heard that, but that's awesome.
Yeah. But so this girl told me this story once. This was after we had broken up, and we were like friends afterwards. And she, you know, she was dating, and I was dating, and we were exchanging dating stories. And she told me that she was hooking up with this guy. She really dug him a lot. Like he was really cool. They went out a couple times. He was into all the same music and movies and shit like that. They started getting they started making out one night or whatever. And he like said to her, like, listen, I just got to tell you that like I have a really small penis.
Damn.
Yeah. And said that before, like warned her.
See? That's what you do.
Well, that's what made me think of it now is if it's the opposite effect, if you're a girl and you have this giant thing, maybe you do have to like kind of, you know.
She could have said the same thing. Listen, I got a really small penis.
if she's yeah, right. If she said that to you, what would you have done?
Wow. I would have acted like, you know, I wasn't down for sex that night, I guess. I would have been like, oh, you know.
I got a headache.
Well, I would have been like, oh, cool or whatever. But you know, I don't move that fast. I keep it casual for at least 3 or 4 dates.
To that she would say, well, you've already had sex with all my friends, so I know that's not, I know that's not true.
No, she was an outsider. No one knew who this girl was.
Yeah, I guess if you're on either account, you might have to warn somebody. I don't know.
Yeah, because, oh man, that's got to be terrible. That couldn't have been the first time he warned someone about his micro, because if he was so upfront about it and cool about it, he must have done that before.
Well, I guess you would have to. You know
How do you even get it in? How do you have sex?
I have no idea. I don't know. You know, I don't think and I'm telling this girl's story now, which I shouldn't. I was just bringing that up because of that.
Well, no one knows. But I don't even know who you're talking about.
I think what happened, if I could recall correctly, is that she tried to do it anyway because, you know, she's a nice girl. She's a sweetheart, this chick. And I'm sure she didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable or whatever. But it was like, you know, we're not talking about like even like a 3 or 4 inch dick. We're talking about like
just a nub.
like a fucking inch dick, you know what I mean? Like a tiny dick, you know? And she said there was like nothing she could do, and then she ended up stopping dating him, you know?
Yeah, you probably don't even feel nothing, you know?
That's gotta be like a hard thing to deal with. I don't know.
Right, that could bring you into a serious depression. You're not. It's like you're just not allowed to live, you know?
Or at least, yeah, not gonna have sex,
Yeah.
or that, either that, or you find some freaks that are into that kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know, I don't know. I remember reading like a year ago that I don't know how we got on dicks now, but I remember reading like a year ago where in the city they were having what was called the smallest dick competition. So it was literally, and guys signed up for this, where they got on stage and took their pants off and then had women vote on their penises, and the guy with the smallest penis won. And I guess that's maybe a way of them like taking power of their situation.
Right,
So I understand that, you know, like whatever, you know, if that makes you feel better, that's cool. But I don't know if I would be so bold as to get on stage and be like, check out my small dick. I don't know.
Damn. Well, that's where the mystery remained in my mind was, you know, did she pee out of this thing? Because if she did, then I guess it would classify as a penis, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
But I guess
so. Now that I know this, now I know more where you're coming from. Where you said that the clit had a hole in it.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to give you a little bit of slack on that one.
Thank you.
So speaking of penises, there's one trait that you had back in the day that I'm not even going to say that you have it anymore because I have no idea. But there was a point in time, a good few years, where you would get really drunk, and like most good drunks would urinate wherever you wanted to.
I haven't done it in a while.
So with this, we're going
Inside the mind of RTG.
You knew it was only a matter of time till these piss stories came out.
I know. They could go on and on, actually.
So, my favorite... Can I tell my favorite one first?
Yeah, absolutely.
My favorite one was, again, we were in college. Not all our stories revolve around college, but for some reason, I guess a lot of these do. And your roommate was somebody that we grew up with, somebody actually lived around the corner from us growing up. And he was... how can I say this delicately? He was, he's like a fucking asshole. I don't know. Like he's a great guy. He's our friend. If I saw him right now, I'd give him a hug. But he's a very temperamental guy.
Absolutely.
If he doesn't get his way, he's hard to be around.
Very short fuse.
Short fuse is a great way to describe our friend. And you at the time were staying in the same room as he was. Mm-hmm. And although he was particular to the drink, he enjoyed a drink every once in a while. He was more of a stoner. He enjoyed the weed. He wouldn't get as hammered drunk, at least not as often, where you would get blackout drunk. And there was one time where, and I'm telling this third party because I wasn't in the room, obviously, but he told me this story. So he was lying in bed. He was calling it an early night because I guess he had class the next morning. And you were out drinking or whatever. We were out drinking. I don't know. And he said that it was, the wee hours of the night, and he was already asleep in bed, and he woke up and he heard what sounded like somebody pouring a pitcher of water into a sponge. You know what I mean? Like he didn't know what was going on. So he had one of those gooseneck lamps connected to his head post. That you would, you would read a book with, and then you'd click it off, and
That's
whatever.
the best part, that he threw the spotlight.
Right, and so I don't know how to explain this without the visual. So he now hears what sounds like a fire hose or whatever going off. And so he clicks, in all curiosity, on the light, and then shines the light on you, which he then sees you pissing into his bag of dirty clothes, his laundry bag. So all the clothes that he owns, because it was like the day before laundry day, you're standing there with your dick out, pissing into his thing. And so what he does is he shines the light on your dick, and instead of you stopping pissing, this is my favorite part of the story, is instead of you like fucking going like and scurrying away,
We're playing possum.
Yeah, or acting like you saw a fucking big clit and passing out on the floor. You took your hand in a flat motion, like you would if you were to give somebody a high five. You know what I mean? And with your hand, slowly made a wall in front of your dick, as if to say, "I'm not going to stop pissing, but I'm going to stop you from looking at my dick." And then continued to piss into his clothes. That's my favorite one.
That is a goodie.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you tell your favorite one.
Yeah, there's quite a few. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite one. All right, so we're at a party at my friend's house, and there was a lot of drinking going on, and I just remember us like emptying the keg into a giant pitcher, and just, passing it around and taking giant chugs of it. So, I got the blackout real quick. So I'm there with my, I don't know if she was my girlfriend or my ex-girlfriend, but she was there. And, we ended up staying in one of the bedrooms. I think it was his brother's bedroom or something. So, we're sleeping in the bed. And, the way she tells the story to me is, because I don't remember, is she wakes up to me, and this dude was in a band, and he had a big box of his, newly pressed albums in this big box in this room. So she wakes up to me, pissing in this big box of CDs, dumping a 2-liter, into the box of CDs. And she's like, "Richie, wake up, you're peeing all over the CDs, So again, instead of stopping the flow, I just take 2 steps over and I start peeing on the carpet. And then she said, "You're still peeing. You're pissing on the carpet. And she said, I just like kind of turned my head over a little bit and said, "At least I fucking moved over." So I finished my piss, turn around, get back into bed, and she's laying in bed naked because, I guess we spent the night together. So I like paused on the way back to bed, take a good look at her, and I said, "Put some fucking clothes on, you slut."
Wait, you guys I thought that was like during the party. You guys went upstairs to bang, and then...
No, it was midnight, yeah. It was after the party was over.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. I think the sun was out. You know, so it was like super late or super early.
Yeah, that was a good one. So, you explained the Death for Disco CDs?
Yeah, I didn't say the name of the band.
Nah, it's whatever. Who gives a shit?
So any of you owners of a D4D CD have a good handful of my DNA with it as well.
The best part of that story is that they worked. They were like, we were in a band, and then this band was like our brother band. You know, like we played shows together all the time. We were all good friends and everything. But they had such a better work ethic than our band had.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like they like really wanted to make it, and like when we had put out a record. Like we found some guy to make an actual vinyl record for us and put 4 songs on it, 2 of which were already on another album, and kind of just like threw it out there. They like went out of their way to make this like professional CD and like did all this fucking thing. And that party is when they had just gotten the shipment in.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. Like I think that was the reason for the party. Is like the CDs are here, we're throwing a party, and you pissed all over every single. And it was like a good metaphor for our two bands.
Thinking that. That was definitely my fave. There's another goodie I could think of, but that's definitely my favorite piss.
What's one more piss story?
Yeah, one more. I had just met this girl, and we got drunk. It was, one of the first, nights we went out drinking together. And, I got to that point again where I didn't know where I was pissing. So I left the room. At least I left the room this time. And I go into another room where I had like this fake tree or this plant or whatever, but it was fake. And, I started pissing in the plant. So at least I found the thing that was close to a toilet bowl this time. Or, the pot of the plant was, at least it was catching the piss, So I guess she woke up and she was wondering where I was. And she came looking for me. And in mid-piss, I realized that I was pissing somewhere that I shouldn't. So I heard her looking for me. Instead of stopping my piss, I tried to just push it out as fast as I could since I was already pissing in the tree anyway. So she caught me.
Wait, this wasn't a tree outside. This was like a plant.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It wasn't even like a real plant.
It was a fake.
Yeah, it was like one of those fake fucking trees that you put in the corner of your room, like in a bad, like like a fern in a bad office building or something.
Yeah. So I, just tried to push the flow out as fast as possible before she caught me in the act. But she called me and she was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, let me just tell you this before it goes any further. I have the tendency to piss on shit and think it's a toilet bowl, but it's not." She was like totally cool with it. She's like, "Oh, I heard people doing that before." And we just went back to sleep. But I just thought it was funny how,
Well, you gave her like the small dick warning.
Yeah.
But you went past it.
And, it was just funny because I actually came to in mid-piss,
And realized what was going on.
Yeah, because I don't remember leaving the room or wandering or starting to pee in the tree. I just remember, like, waking up in mid-piss. Like, I pissed out enough out of me to wake up out of the blackout. And then I just said, fuck it, I'm already in too deep. So I just pushed the rest out and was honest with the girl.
I can honestly say, and I don't know if I'm proud of this or I feel like I've missed out, but I've never, no matter how drunk I've gotten in life, I've never pissed my pants. I've never randomly pissed a bed. I've never pissed some place and thought it was somewhere else. I've never done,
But you know what? Sometimes you don't know. Like if you pissed somewhere in the middle of the night and you were blacked out, how would you know?
Yeah, well, because times... a lot of, I mean, sooner or later it would have happened in my living situation, so I would have pissed somewhere in my apartment and figured it out. You know what I mean? Like the same way you figured it out.
Yeah.
Or pissed in my friend's laundry bag. Or
there were some times where I'd wake up and I'd go to throw something in my garbage basket. And I was like, oh, what is in here? And it was like filled with piss, and I don't even remember pissing in it, And I was like, oh, I pissed in my garbage last night.
What? Oh, fuck. What? Oh, that wasn't you. I knew that there was another pissing story, but it's not. It was another roommate that we had.
Oh, when the midget made Eddie clean the piss off the vacuum.
No. That was another thing. Well, another one of our friends was pissing in a closet one time, and a dwarf bitched him out and made him clean the closet. It was some dwarf with web hands. I don't know if I'd call him a midget. I think he was a dwarf. He was like a little bit taller. And then
is that what it is? A dwarf is taller?
I think they're a little bit taller. Yeah. And then the next day, we all crashed at this party. This dwarf bitched our friend out because he was pissing in this closet with a vacuum or whatever. And then the next day, I'm driving home down the turnpike or the parkway, And I'm laughing my ass off because I'm like, man, that dwarf fucking bitch, blah, blah, blah. Telling the story. I look over, I see the dwarf driving, rocking a fucking Honda Civic, like lowered with a spoiler and shit with like a hat sideways.
Oh, you know he had those feet blocks.
Yeah, like fucking. I don't know where that dwarf is, what he's doing in life, but I guarantee you, whatever it is, he's wearing a sideways monster hat. Because he's like that type of dude, you know what I mean? He's like the Rob Dyrdek of dwarf world.
Where did that dwarf come from?
He was like a dwarf relative of one of our friends. I don't know.
He didn't stand for peeing on shit.
He was very pissed. It wasn't his house. It might have been his relative's house. I think that's what it was. I think it was. Okay, so bear with me here. The party we were at was our friend's older brother's fiance's family home.
Right, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that he was a relative of the fiance,
right.
protecting the family home.
From any outside urinators.
Oh man, how else are we going?
Inside the mind of RTG.
You know, I haven't given it much thought. I bet you, there's plenty of things out there because I've had theories over time.
This is going to be a regular segment on our podcast. I know we're burning a lot up today, but
yeah, because things will pop up. We've had so many.
Actually, I remember. I don't know if this is so much inside the mind of Rich and Giordana, but one time we were sitting outside of our friend's house. Actually, the same friend who got bitched out by the dwarf. And it was during the day. I think we were doing a little day drinking, and me and you were sitting on the front steps. I don't know if we were like having a heart-to-heart or whatever the hell was going on. But we're sitting on the front steps of the house, and there's a guy down the road that was like working on his motorcycle. And do you don't remember this? There was a guy down the road who was like working on his motorcycle, so he kept starting his motorcycle like,
oh yeah,
right? And I'm looking at you, and and at first I didn't know what was going on. You're swatting near your ears, like if something's on your ears, And I'm looking at you, and then I'm just like whatever, and I'm just drinking. I look again, and then every time the motorcycle would go, you would swat at your ears. And finally I'm like, Richie, what's going on? You're like, these damn bees. these damn bees won't get away from me. There was no fucking bees. It was just a dude on a motorcycle down the block that your fucking ass thought was a bee flying around here.
Oh man, I remember that. Holy shit. I'm crying. These damn bees.
I was stunned. I was like, how does he not know that's a motorcycle? Since when do motorcycles sound like bees?
Oh, shit.
You got a weird and warped mind, Rich.
Yeah, I guess so, man. That's why I was nervous about this episode, because it's going to make me, really start to reevaluate my brain matter.
Well, I mean, number one, you're older and wiser now, but I'm sure there's some crazy shit still going on. I know there's more story, but I mean, we're doing so many of these podcasts that they're all going to come out.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So I don't know.
Will.
So I hope everybody enjoyed going.
Inside the mind of RTG.
I miss your taste and your see-through clothes, the way you smell and the way you roll. I know it's a crime to bring you around. Your beauty can increase by.
All right, well, it's the end of this one.
Where did you go?
That went quick.
Yeah. Well, it's we try to keep them around an hour. It's a little bit shorter than an hour, but
When you're self-deprecating, sometimes you just got to cut loose.
Yeah, whatever. Next episode might go an hour and 10. Who knows? We're crazy like that.
Next episode, I'm going to tell you a little story about a roach getting rubbed.
when we go inside the mind of Dev.
Absolutely.
I'll go inside the mind of Dev. I don't care. I could tell stories about myself.
We're going in.
All right. I got to make a new drop.
Oh yeah, we do.
All right. Well, we are going to really think of a name right after this. Right after I end this podcast, we're going to think of a name.
Yep.
And this doesn't mean anything to you because if you're listening to this, it's already up. But I'm going to put these episodes up, and we're going to get this thing going. Thanks for listening to the Still Nameless podcast of Rich and Devin, and we'll see you next time.
With love, with bread, wanna smoke you up. Even though my chest hurts, smoke you up. Get more pain, less, wanna smoke you up. Hitting my best and my love. Surrounded by seeds, I'm lost in the trees. My thirst and hunger see.
Thanks for listening to the Awkward High Five podcast. For more episodes, visit awkwardhighfive.com.